Hello everyone, this is Sarvesh, lecturer in Civil Engineering, Government Polytechnic, Station. The course is Reinforced Concrete Structures. The topic is Design of Columns by Limit State Method, and this lecture is continuation to the previous lecture. Right? And after completion of this lecture, you are able to know how to determine the load carrying capacity of a short column subjected to axial load only. And we will discuss some codal provisions which are used to design the axially loaded columns with lateral ties as well as helical reinforcement. Right. So before going to the today's topic, let's recap what we were discussed in last class. So in last class, we have discussed about the effective length of the column. That means what is mean by effective length of the column and how to determine this effective length of the column and how the effective length of the column changes with respect to its support condition or its support restraint, right? So because it depends upon the type of the support conditions, the effective length will change. So we have seen one table which is given by IS 456 also. That means theoretical value as well as recommended value. And we have discussed what is the difference between these two values, right? And why the effective length is considered, because for determining the strength of the column, uh, the strength of the column is depends upon the effective length of the column, right? If effective length changes, then the strength of the column also changes. So that is why it is very important to determine the effective length of the column, and that effective length is depends upon the support conditions of the column, right? So we have discussed different support conditions and what is the effective length of the column, right? Then we have discussed about the codal provisions for longitudinal reinforcement as well as lateral reinforcement. That means longitudinal reinforcement, what is the minimum reinforcements to be provided as a longitudinal reinforcement, and what is the maximum reinforcement is allowed to provide in columns, and what are the specifications of the longitudinal reinforcement. That means how many number of bars to be provided in square column, rectangular column, as well as circular column. Then what are the different types of lateral reinforcement? That means lateral ties and helical reinforcement, and what are the provisions, uh, how to provide this reinforcement, that means spacing, diameter. So all these things which are already given in IS 456 so that we have seen in last class. And in axially loaded column, uh, what are the design provisions? So that means the eccentricity consideration, when it can be designed as a axially loaded column, when it should be designed as a eccentrically loaded column. What are the provisions that we have discussed in last class? Now coming to today, that is how to determine the load carrying capacity of a short column with axially loaded as per the class 39.3 of IS 456-2000. It is already mentioned in your code book. So if you have a code book, you just open your page number 71 in IS 456-2000, class number 39.3, right? In that, the first one is column with lateral ties. Wait, yeah. The first one is column with lateral ties, the ultimate load on short column with lateral ties when E minimum does not exceed the 0.05 times the lateral dimensions is given by this equation. That means it is given mentioned in your code book. If you have, you just refer clause number 39.3. That is, the member shall be designed by considering the assumptions given in 39.1 and the minimum eccentricity. What is 39.1 assumption? That is, all members in compression shall be designed for the minimum eccentricity. So that is what I just reminded in last class. We have discussed about the eccentricity, right? So for as per the codal provision, as per IS 450-6000, it is allowing the minimum eccentricity, and that should be calculated as per IS 450-6000 class number 25.4, right? So from that, you just calculate the E minimum, right? And that E minimum, if it is should not exceed 0.05 times the lateral diameter. That means it does not exceed the 0.05 times the lateral dimension, right? Then you can calculate the what is this? The ultimate load is nothing but your PU. PU is equal to zero point 0.4 FCK into AC plus 0.67 F of Y into A of SC, right? So this is the equation which is used to determine the ultimate load on a short column. So this equation is valid if your E minimum is less than or equal to 0.05 times the lateral dimension. If it is exceeds, then this equation is not valid. Right? You need to use another equation, but because this is used only for the short axially loaded column. Right? So in last class we have discussed what is meant by axially loaded column and eccentrically loaded column. Right? So axially loaded means the load exactly passing to the centroidal of the axis of along the centroidal axis of the column. Right? If it is away from the, if it is not passed through the centroidal axis of the member, then we can call it as it is eccentrically loaded column. So this equation is used to determine the ultimate load for short axially loaded columns, right? Remember, this is the related to short column, not for long column, right? So before using this equation, you need to check. First thing is whether it is a short column or long column, right? Next one is you need to check the E minimum value. That E minimum should not be greater than 0.05 times the lateral dimension. Then only you can apply this equation for determining the ultimate load. Right? Is it clear? So coming to the parameters which are used in this equation, that is, first one is FCK is the characteristic compressive strength of concrete at the end of 28 days. A is the area of concrete, and F of I, you know, that is yield strength of steel, and A of SC is the area of steel, right? So suppose let us say you have a you you have a, let us say, a rectangular column, and you have a let us say you have some reinforcement here. Let us say 3 bars, 6 bars you have, for example. And again, you have provided the lateral ties, for example, by so this is your column, right? So the A of C is nothing but, so A of SC is nothing but area of the compression bars, that means area of these 3 bars, all these 6 bars. That means the area of this 3 is nothing but your A of SC. Then how to find out A of C, that is area of concrete. So area of concrete can be calculated. A of C is equal to gross area of this section. That means if it is a rectangle, let us say this is B and this is A, for example. So A into B is the total area of this rectangle. That is called as gross area, A of G. Gross area of this rectangle column minus area of C. If you subtract this, the remaining is nothing but only concrete. So this is called as A of S. So can I write like this, right? So this is the equation. From this equation, you can determine the area of concrete, right? So the total ultimate load is nothing but the load which is taken by the concrete plus taken by the steel, right? So this is how we need to determine the ultimate load on a short column with lateral ties, axially loaded column, right? So next one is just so just now as I mentioned, there is PU is the factored axial load on the column. A of C is the area of concrete. That means gross area minus area of steel. That is A of G minus A of SC. And A of SC is the area of longitudinal reinforcement, right? And FCK is the characteristic strength of characteristic compressive strength of concrete, right? Next is uh, yeah, the ultimate load of a helical reinforced column that we have discussed in last class. What is meant by helical reinforcement? Yeah. Next equation is short column with helical reinforcement. What is helical reinforcement? I think I have discussed in last class. Helical reinforcement is provided only in circular columns, but if you see in elevation, it looks like this one. So the main bars are provided like this. So if I see this one, right? And the helical reinforcement should be provided like this. Yes, right, right, tiling like this is called as helical reinforcement, right? So, as I told earlier, if you provided the helical reinforcement, which is possible only in circular columns, which is effective only in circular columns, right? So that is why we will use helical reinforcement in circular columns. So, in this helical reinforcement, if you provide the helical reinforcement, the strength of the column increases as well as the stiffness of the column also increases. So as per IS 450,000, if you provide the helical reinforcement, the strength of the column increases by 1.05 times the strength of similar member with the lateral ties. That means instead of providing the lateral ties, if you provide the helical reinforcement, for same columns, which is with the lateral ties, instead of lateral ties, if we provide the helical reinforcement for the same column, the strength is increased by 5%. That is 1.05 times the strength similar to the lateral, similar member with the lateral ties, right? So therefore, the strength of the ultimate load of short helically reinforced column is P2 equal to 1.05 into zero point 0.4 FCK into AC plus 0.67 F of Y into A of S. So whatever the parameter, this is similar to the earlier equation. Only thing is the strength of the column increased by 5% if you provide the helical reinforcement. But this 5% increment will not be applicable in all the cases, because this column should satisfy the condition which is provided in clause number 39.4.1 of IS 2000. If this condition is satisfied, then only the strength of the column increased by 5%. Otherwise, the strength of the column is equal to the same as the earlier one, right? So, what is that condition? So, if this condition is not satisfied, then the 5% increment should not be considered. It is simply same as your the column which is provided with lateral, right? So, what is that condition? Just go to the see the condition. So, go to the class number 39.4.1. That is the ratio of just the ratio of volume of helical reinforcement, that is V of H, to the volume of core VC shall not be less than the 0.36 A of G by A of C minus 1 into FCK by F of 5. It is already given in your code book. If you have, you just go and open class number 39.4.1. 39.4.1. It is clearly given that the compressive strength of the strength of compression member with helical reinforcement satisfy the requirements of 39.4.1 shall be taken as 1.05 times the strength of similar member with lateral ties. And the ratio of the volume of helical reinforcement to the volume of the core shall not be less than 0.36 A of G by A of C minus 1 into FCK by F of 5. If I write this, the ratio of VH by VC shall not be less than, right? This should not be less than, I mean VH by VC should not be less than this one. Then only you can increase the that 5% increment in the load carrying capacity of the compression member or column. If not, then you should not increase that 5% capacity, right? So before, if the column is helically reinforced, then first you need to check this condition, whether you are whether it is possible to improve increase, it is increasing that 5% increment is allowed or not, right? That is very, very important. So what is mean by VH? Volume of helical reinforcement is already given in your code book. VH, so coming to the VH, that is VH, volume of helical reinforcement. VC is the volume of core. I will show what is mean by VH and VC. And AG, I would think you know this is AC, not AG. This is AC. AG by AC, where AG is the gross area of the member, circular member. AC is the area of concrete, minus 1. And FCK, this is FCK by F of y. This is FCK by F of y, where FCK is the same characteristic compressive strength of concrete at the end of 28 days, and F of y is the yield strength of this, right? So then coming to the what is VH, what is VC, and how to determine it. So VH is nothing but the volume of first we will go for how to find out the VC. VC is nothing but the volume of core. What is meant by volume of core? Just characterize all this. Right. If you see this one from plan, right? So I can draw this one in a plan in a large, maybe the circular one, right? So then you have a number of bars, right? As I told earlier, the minimum number of bars in circular section is how much? Is minimum you need to provide 6 bars. So for circular number, you need to provide the 6 bars. So, and by tying all these reinforcement, you can see the diameter of this helical reinforcement. So I would like to draw that diagram. So may not be exactly. You can draw this. So this is for your helical reinforcement. So if I draw the thickness also, so it will come like this. May not be exactly, but I'm not that much of familiar with it. So this is your helical reinforcement. These are the longitudinal bars. This is the count. So this is called as your total diameter of the member column, overall diameter, right? So just it's not open for us, right? So now coming to the volume of right, volume of core, it is already given A of C in core book. Area of core of the helical reinforcement column measured to the outer side diameter of the helix. So this is called as helix. So if you take these two this, this is called your diameter of core. A is called AC, not from this one, right? So this is your A of, I can say A of C. That is what is given. A of C is the diameter of the core. Outer to outer. How to determine this? If you know the overall D, so D minus, if you have a clear cover up to the face of the main reinforcement, right? So that is let us say I can say two sides. So 2 into, I can write as 2 into clear cover up to here, then plus 2 into dia of helical reinforcement 5H. This is equal to diameter of, I can call it as D of C, not D of C. I can write it as, this is called as diameter of the core. Very important. This is DC. So from this, if you know the DC, then you can calculate the, this is DC. From this, you can calculate the A of C, that is 5 squared by 4. You will get the area of core, right? So if you know the area of core, then you can multiply the pitch of the what is called pitch of helical reinforcement from here to here. So therefore, V of H is equal to V of C is equal to volume of core is equal to A of C into pitch distance. Clear? So this is called as volume of core. Then calculate the volume of helical reinforcement. So how to calculate volume of helical reinforcement? And this is volume of helical reinforcement. Just remove this one. So then coming to V of H is equal to, that is volume of uh, length of one spiral, length of one spiral into area of the reinforcement, that is A of phi h. So this length of one spiral is nothing but pi into d, right? So pi d, but you need to take this one here. You need to take center to center for calculation of length of the spiral. So in calculation of here, this is very important. You should remember it. So V of h, while calculating V of h, you need to calculate the length of one spiral into diameter of the helical reinforcement. You will get the volume of helical reinforcement. So for calculation of length of one spiral, you need to take the diameter from center to center of this, right? So what is the center to center? What is the center to center? Center to center is nothing but, as I told here, uh, here you need to up to here it is okay. That means up to d minus 2 into clear cover. So up to here you will get. So instead of 2 into delta pi h, you need to add only pi h. You will get the diameter which is center to center, right? So that is the pi into, let us say, DCC, or you can give any name, whatever it is, but you should remember that the concept is you need to consider the center to center distance. This one is for your for calculation of length of the pi d. Pi d is nothing but this one. D phi, let us say, you can say dh instead of no need to confuse. So dh, right? Pi into dh. So length of one bar is pi into dh. That dh is nothing but center to center distance between the helical reinforcement. And area of whatever the diameter of the helical bar, you can add, you can multiply with this length, you will get the volume of helical reinforcement. So VH by VC, and these values you know. So from this you can calculate it, and VH by VC should not be less than, that means should not be less than 0.36 Ag by Ac minus 1 Fc by F of y. If this condition is satisfied, then you should increase that 5% increment. Otherwise, it is same as your column with the lateral type, right? So that you should remember. So, right, next is just remove all this. So if you solve a problem, then you will get a clear picture on this, right? Those who are still a little bit confusion, right? So here, as I told, area of gross area of the column, area of core of helical reinforcement, measured outer to outer diameter of the helix. This I have shown it. Characteristics or characteristic compressive strength of concrete. This is yield strength of helical reinforcement, but not exceeding Fu415. That we should know. So then, coming to how to calculate uh, the compressive strength of the column. That means before going to use that formula, as I told now, you need to check whether it is a long column or short column, because the formula or the method of determination of the strength of the column or compression member depends upon the type of the column. That means whether it is a long column or short column, right? Because as I told earlier, in long column which fails due to crush, long column will fail due to buckling, and short column will fail due to crush, right? So based upon that, you need to determine the strength of the column. So before going to use the formula, you need to check whether it is a long column or short column. How to check? That is based upon the slenderness ratio, lambda, right? So if the lambda value is greater than 12, then it can be designed as a long column. If it is less than or equal to 12, it can be designed as a short column. And again, one more thing is, whatever the formula we have discussed, those formulas are used only for short column axially loaded. That means there is no eccentricity, but you can allow up to the minimum eccentricity as per the IS 450 right? So the minimum eccentricity, and this is less than or equal to 1 by 500 plus d by 30 or 0.05 d, right? That you have to check whether it is exceeding the minimum or not. So E minimum should be less than or equal to 0.05 d, right? If it is greater than, then that column should be designed as a eccentrically loaded column. And coming to the transverse reinforcement, then you need to check whether you want to provide lateral tiles or helical reinforcement. If you are provided lateral tiles, you can use the corresponding equation. But if you want to provide a helical reinforcement, then you need to use another formula, that is you need to increase 5% increment, that is 1.05 into the strength formula. But remember that 5% is considered if whatever the helical reinforcement you are providing, that should satisfy the conditions which is given in IS 256-2000. What is the class number? Yeah, 39.4.1. Right? If it is satisfied, then you can increase that 5%. Otherwise, no need to increase. Right? Next, this is what formula we have calculated. We are going to use to determine the axial load of a short column. So PU is the factored axial load, and remaining we have already discussed. So let us solve one problem for clear and better understanding. Right. So coming to this one, a rectangular RCC column of 350 by 250 size is reinforced with 6 bars of 16 mm diameter and use F415 Fe415 grade steel and M20 grade concrete. So the effective length of the column is 2.8 meters. So here directly they have given the effective length of the column, right? Then determine the maximum permissible axial load on the column, right? So one thing you should remember, the effective length is already given, right? So then draw the given data. So rectangular size, this is 250 and this is 350, and 6 bars of 16 mm dia. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and the clear cover is 40 mm as we discussed in last class, minimum clear cover. And the effective length is already given, that is 2.8 meters, that is 2800 mm. Next is these are the given data FCK and F of I. So now coming to calculate gross area of the column, that is A of G. So for rectangular, it is B into D. So 350 into 250, we get 87,500 mm square. Then the total area of reinforcement, that is area of steel, equal to number of bars into area of 1 bar. Total number of bars into area of 1 bar, you will get total area of steel which is provided as a compression as a longitudinal reinforcement. So here 6 into pi d square by 4 is equal to 1206.14 mm square. The net area of the column cross section is equal to A of C, as I told earlier. So area of net area of the cross section is equal to gross area minus area of steel. We will get net area, that is 87,500 minus 1200.14. We will get the net area is 86,293.86 square, right? So next is effective length. So you need to calculate, it is directly given, that is 2800. Then you need to check whether it is a long column or short column. That means the slenderness ratio. The slenderness ratio is nothing but it is the ratio of effective length to the least lateral dimensions of the member. So out of rectangular column, the least lateral dimension is 250 mm. So 2800 by 250, you get 11 point, and it is less than or equal to 12. So therefore, it is a short column. So like this, you need to check before going to use that formula which is given in IS 456, right? So after checking, so it is a short column. Then you can proceed for next step. What is next step? That is directly you can go for application of formula. PU equal to 0.4 HCK into A of C plus 0.67 F of Y into A of SC. That is 0.4 into 20 into 86,293.3 plus 0.67 into 415 into 1206.14. So total you will get 1025.71 kilometers. So this is the axial load carrying capacity of the column as per the given data, right? So like this, you need to determine the load carrying capacity of the column based upon the given data. But this is for rectangular columns, right? So we'll check another type of column, that is maybe a square column, right? So coming to the square column problem, what is the difference? We'll check. Here, a square column 400 by 400 mm is reinforced with 4 bars of 25 mm dia. The column is 5 meters long with both ends effectively held in position and restrained in direction. That means both ends are held in position as well as restrained in direction. So find the axial factored load of the column can carry the material used, can carry. The material used are M20 grade concrete and HYST bars, right? So this is a data which we have available. So for this data, what is the load carrying capacity of the square column? That is 400 by 400. And remember here, I have given the total length of the column and end conditions also. That means both ends effectively held in position and restrained in direction. B is equal to 400 mm, length is to 5 meters. So here both ends are, what is the condition? Both ends are effectively held in position and restrained in direction. Therefore, it is both ends are fixed. When both ends are fixed, what is the deflected shape? So if this is your column, buckling, I would like to draw the buckling force. So it will buckle like. So this is your effective length, that is 0.5 L or L by 2. So therefore, this is 2000 to 0.5 meters, right? So that is 2500 mm. So therefore, slenderness ratio is nothing but L effective by least lateral dimensions. You will get 2500 by 400, that is 6.25. So it is much less than the value of 12. So therefore, it should be considered as short column, or it should be classified as short column, right? So then calculate the area of steel provided. So the area of steel provided is A of SC 4 bars of 25 mm dia, that is 4 into 5d square by 4, so that is 1963.5 mm square. Then the area of concrete is net area, that is NET. Net area of concrete A of C is equal to AG minus A of SC, that is 400 by 400 minus 1963.5. You will get that is 15 lakhs, not 1,58,036.5 mm square. So this is the net area of the concrete. Therefore, the factor load PU equal to 0.4 FCK into A of C plus 0.67 F of Y into A of SC. So 0.4 into 20 into 1,58,036.5 plus 0.67 into 415 into 1963.5. So the total factored load, we will get it as 1810.4 kilonewton. Right. So like this, you need to determine the load carrying capacity of the given column. Right. That means first you need to check whether it is a long column or short column. Then again you need to check the eccentricity criteria. If these two conditions are satisfied, then only you can use this formula to determine the load carrying capacity of the column. Right. So this is how for this I would like to conclude for this class. Right. So just let us quick summarize what we were discussed today class. So today we have discussed about how to determine the load carrying capacity of a short axially loaded column, right? For column with for columns with lateral ties, and for columns with helical reinforcement also, right? That means for determining the load carrying capacity of the short column, that is PU equal to 0.4 into AC into FCK plus 0.67 into F of Y into A of SC, right? That is for with lateral ties, column with lateral ties. And before going to use this formula, you need to check two conditions. One is this formula is applicable only for short columns. That you need to check. That means how to check? Based upon the slenderness ratio value. What is meant by slenderness ratio? It is the ratio of effective length to the least lateral dimensions of the column. So from that, if it is less than or equal to 12, it can be classified as short column. If it is greater than 12, then it can be classified as long column, right? So you need to check, because whatever the formula which is proposed, which is given or proposed, that is applicable for short column, axially loaded. That is also important. How to check whether it is axially loaded or eccentrically loaded? So as per the IS 456-2000, the minimum eccentricity, allowable eccentricity is there from a given formula. From that formula, you need to calculate, and that E minimum should not be greater than 0.05 times the lateral dimension of the member. Right? If it is exceed, then it should be considered as eccentrically loaded column. If it is less than or equal to that value, then it should be considered as axially loaded column. So before going to use that equation, you need to check these two, right? And then we have discussed about the requirements for design of columns, load carrying capacity of the axially loaded columns. And one thing is that is for lateral ties. So another one is for helical reinforcement. So if you provide the helical reinforcement, then the column load carrying capacity increases by 5% of the a column with same column with lateral ties. That means whatever the formula we have proposed for lateral ties, and if you are provided the helical reinforcement, then the load carrying capacity of the helical reinforced column is increased by 5% as similar to the lateral ties column. But that 5% should be considered if it is satisfied the condition which is given in IS 456 2000, that is VH by VC should not be less than the formula. Just what is the formula? VH by VC should not be less than 0.36 times the AG by AC minus 1 into FCK by FR5. If it is satisfied, then you can increase that 5%. Otherwise, you should not increase that 5%. It is same as your the column with lateral ties. So before going to use lateral ties column, you need to check that one, right? So then we have solved a two problems. That is for calculation of load carrying capacity of the column for rectangular section and square section, and we have determined the load carrying capacity of that, right? So this is how I would like to conclude this class. So next class we will discuss a little more deeper in design of columns as per IS 456, right? So thank you, and I request you to go to the code book and familiarize with the code book, because each and everything has been given in coded provision, right? So as far as examination point of view, so if you are very good with very good familiar with the code book, then it is very easy for you, right? So that is why I request you to use your own code books and read it carefully, right? Thank you.